The cross stitch also uses the folded hem. We're going to do the same thing where we fold that hem twice before we get started, just to make sure there's no raw edges. So you can see I'm putting my needle through the fold to get started. With the cross stitch, I always aim the needle towards my body, and I'm always going in a horizontal stitch. And in this case, I always pick up from the folded side first, and you can see that I'm not picking up any of the outside of the fabric, just the fold side. And then I'm pulling that through. Because my string always comes out past the thread, I'm going to be overlapping, and that's what's going to create the little X that you see in the cross stitch. So my next stitch, once I've stitched through the fold or the hem, I want to create another horizontal stitch, and it's going to line up parallel with the top of the folded edge. And the reason I always aim towards myself is that way the excess thread ends up overlapping itself to create that X that we keep talking about. So again, doing a horizontal stitch lined up parallel or right along the edge of the folded hem, and then coming back down and threading a horizontal stitch through just the hemmed fold. You can see how that thread actually X's over or overlaps the previous stitch. When I get to my last stitch, rather than going past, I'm just going to create my knot by stitching 3 vertical stitches in a row right at the very end of the sample. Now you can see on the inside there's those little X's. On the outside, like I mentioned before, I just have 3 tiny horizontal stitches, and that's when I picked up that little stitch parallel or next to the folded edge. And that's your finished cross stitch.